Howdy Toos, welcome back to the Zach Life. So this is a really exciting day for me. Actually, it probably won't be the day, but this will be the episode, the weekend. Today's Friday, June the 26th, 2020. Today, this weekend, this episode is going to be getting this thing out of the shop, birthing it out of the door of this shop. As you can see, I've got the doors installed. That was last episode. It's covered up, and this side of the coach has got all the graphics sprayed on it. I got the blue color you can see there sprayed this morning. It's not cured, but I think it's cured enough that I'm not too worried about, if you was to touch it, it wouldn't screw it up. So what's the game plan? So here we go. So I've got this piece of wood. As you can see, it's got a chunk gone out of it. And I'm going to put this underneath the fuel tank. The whole coach right now is sitting on the front lip of the fuel tank. And then a piece of 6x6 timber in the front. This lip will catch on the fuel tank. So the fuel tank is going to be right here. And all the weight's going to sit on this 2x4. And this may not work. This may just explode. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about as far as this little skid thing goes. So probably 7,000 or 8,000 pounds of this thing is on that piece of 2x4, and I'm gonna be surprised if it doesn't explode. If it does, the fuel tank hangs down lower than the edge. We're not gonna hurt anything other than my concrete, but I don't want to do that. If you look down here, there's a piece of 6x6 timber. This timber originally was farther back up under the frame by a couple of feet, and I used it. And it's got notches cut in it to level the coach perfectly before I started. I've got under there and jacked up the coach, pulled this timber out and stuck it out in front here, and there's a piece of 2x2 square tubing that should keep it from sliding back. And I'm hoping that between this piece of timber and the 2x4 into the fuel tank that I'll be able to slide this whole thing out. I'm going to tie onto it with a winch truck and pick up and pull all at the same time with a winch. I'll zoom you around in my junkyard here. So, coach is behind me. I'm planning on taking the coach out towards the road, pretty well even with my gate, and then I'm going to slide, if this all works out, I'm going to slide the back end behind me, back over there towards my monster truck, and then pull it back around that side of the shop. So the front's sort of over there, just in the grass more or less. I got all this junk to clear out of the way, and I'm not sure how well this will work, but I'm hoping that once I get it out to the road, I'll be able to pick the front up with a forklift, use the fuel tank as a skid plate, and I'll be able just to skid this thing across the yard like a skidded piece of oil field equipment. Moved. It's only got like a 1/4 of an inch clearance before it hits the roof of the shop. slight contact, but nothing detrimental.
It won't fit.
The problem seems to be when I pull on it, the whole thing twists and that corner gets higher. I gotta work the truck around the gate. I'm at too much angle and it's picking it up while I'm pulling on it. Well, it's out. No harm done. It had a little contact right there on the corner, but it'll have trim over that. It's listing slightly to the starboard. Here's the plan. So I got all this junk cleaned up. It was right here, and I got room to slide the back end that away. I'm gonna pick the front of it up high enough that I can take this 3x12, this oak 3x12, and slide it underneath the fuel tank, set it back on the fuel tank, and then I'm gonna half hitch a chain around this board and drag the board that way to slide the back of the coach around. Maybe. Now I'm hoping I can just push it that way with the forklift. The only problem is it's only got about an inch of ground clearance, and I don't want to get the size of the body, you know, hard into the ground. So I'm gonna call that as good as it gets. That isn't where I wanted it. I wanted it about another third the way around there, but the fuel tank's sort of in a hole and it's starting to sort of high center on the back. I can still get in and out of my shop and in and out of the gate, so I think we'll call that good. And hopefully, you know, in less than a month or so, I'll at least have the axles under it and I'll be able to roll it around. The next job is to timber it up. I'm gonna actually block this thing out with a bunch of timbers and try to get it up off the ground roughly to ride height so that I can get under it and paint the other side. About burn up this week. We didn't have a breath of wind, and of course today and tomorrow the wind's supposed to blow 30 miles an hour and it's going to blow all this plastic off, and I'm going to get the underside painted with primer before I pull the plastic off so I don't overspray primer on the body. So whatever, it's hot. Well, here we go. Kind of cool looking. Drive shaft tunnel, more or less. It's a little bit sketchy, but a working oil field dying is kind of part of the job. This video only covered a day and a half, which is not typical, but The next several things are not going to be very easy to record. What's left is I got to get under it and finish welding it out, which is going to be a day's worth of welding, which will be boring and hard to video because I'm going to be under it and everything else. And then I'm going to prime, epoxy prime the whole underside, and then Raptor line most of it. Anything I think that'll be in contact with splash water, muds, thrown rocks, etc. We'll get a Raptor liner put on it. Next, I guess I'll install the video's not out yet, but I've already built the gray water tank, and it's inside of it because I had to put it in before I could put the door on. But I got to install it next. So I may have to kind of take a break. I've been working on this thing pretty hard. Hopefully I can get it sprayed, welded out, and all that stuff. And a roof. I got to put a roof on it. It doesn't have a roof. But anyway, that's about the size of it. Appreciate you watching. We'll catch you on the next one, whatever that is.